My name's Thomas Waddle. This is the Whisky Sour Hour, and anybody that saw the Piehole Report post from yesterday will know that this is a little bit of a different episode in that it's more of a reset. Just we've had 4 weeks of interviews there. They turned out really well. Started off with Cal John, so starting off really strong, going over how acting has been for him and with his new show Irish Blood coming up. We spoke about that. Then we went to the Beath Army's Player of the Year Awards, which, first time outside the kind of podcast studio proper, using, some wireless mics, turned out really well. Then we had Everything Brighter's Ali Robertson. Just, what a conversation that I felt we had there, and the old stalwart Callum Petrie turned up for the Xbox showcase and just all the summer showcase chat. Video games wise, I felt like not that it really matters, but I felt like it was maybe getting to the point where I'm like, I feel like I should touch base. The first thing we've done here on the show, and it's arguably probably the biggest episode that we've done, not just because it was the first one, but I like to think it was quite interesting, where we looked over what films had came out and just kind of how the year was. I feel like we'd spoke about them, and I wanted to just touch base, see how everybody is, what's going on, and go for theirs. But a couple of developments, film wise, a few games had came out, and there's one particularly interesting one that I just wanted to kind of highlight, because it really tickles a part of my brain I never knew that needed tickled. So there we are. But yeah, like kind of getting things off. Just the response has been amazing from the interviews. I think going forward, I'm really going to try and focus on them. So, the feedback has been astronomical, and I can't thank anybody. I can't thank anybody. I can't thank everybody enough for coming forward and being really supportive with it. It's turned out really well. I think we've got plenty in the pipeline. It's just logistics. Unfortunately, we're not all just able to do this full time, so we're having to work around lives and stuff. So just keep your eyes posted, eyes peeled for any posts on the socials regarding that. But there's some really just I don't even want to spoil it, because I feel like when they come out they're going to be really good. I know a couple of people have been asking me what's been coming in. I've been kind of leaving some kind of drip feeding some nuggets of information in that there, but there's some really big ones coming up in the kind of coming weeks, so look forward to that. Kind of out with that, just kind of in general, the show itself is again, the support has been amazing. Really, every day, you're coming in, and it started off, it was like single figures. This is just in Spotify, which is kind of, where the bulk everything's done, but it does calculate other. So if you're listening, Connor, if you're listening, I know you're listening in Apple Music. It does, wherever you're listening, doesn't matter. Just I base it off Spotify, but Spotify counts all these numbers in. We're starting off with single figures now. There's days where we're hitting, like half a century. It's really exciting. Seeing those numbers go up. So again, just thanks so much for that. I wanted to kind of take time. We're 21 episodes and I can't believe it's got to this point, but it's just brilliant. It's just part of the life now, the podcast life. No, it's just part of it's like a release for me. I was never really that creative growing up, maths and art and stuff. I don't know why I said maths here, but art, specifically, I enjoyed it, but I just couldn't draw. It was terrible, and I know, I think anybody that went to Garnock Academy knows Mr. Campbell was very supportive, and I think he was maybe just a nice guy, because I know for a fact it was dire. So they're having this creative release here. It's good fun, but just kind of wanted just to highlight that. I think every message, I try to answer every single one, which pretty easy. So, but just giving a kind of shout out to that is very good. This is going to be a little bit more kind of off the cuff. It's not as it's like well rehearsed as what I normally do. Plus, you the last kind of couple of weeks I've had somebody to kind of bounce off of, which is good. So, having that, but just kind of kind of entertainment wise, to be fair, I know TV, I know Squid Games. When this goes up, Squid Games 3 will be out. I couldn't get by the first one, so I'm not too excited for it, but I know a lot of people are kind of buzzing for it. I've been kind of in a bit of a lull now, just because I've not had a great deal of time to really sit down and watch something. The Bear is out, and I will be watching that. Hopefully, I liked it, but I liked the last season. Hopefully, this season's kind of return to form. I just felt it was missing a little something. The seasons, I remember the first one, but the second season, I think was I don't know if I was happy with that one. It was either that or the third one. There was one where like kind of missing, it just missed something. It was missing a bit of the old kind of pizzazz. So with that being said, I don't want to sound too kind of down on it, but the Bear, it reached a peak, and there's always like good episodes. Like the guest stars in the show are always exciting. So I'm trying to avoid kind of spoilers that way, not so much like the story, but like I like seeing just random kind of people pop up. John Cena was a big surprise the other season there. So hopefully it's good. I have kind of high hopes for it, because it's one that I particularly enjoy. Kind of what else has there been? As I say, it's been a bit of a lull. We've finished The Last of Us. I'm not surprised by the reaction. I pretty much love the second game, so it doesn't really mean anything. Kind of my opinion on it, because it is good. I like it. Like, that is what it is. I think the second season, the second half of this, because it ends, going back to the beginning of the season, but from a different perspective, just so not to spoil anything. But I've played the game, so I know where we're going, and there's a lot more excitement happens in the second half than the first half. I feel like Belle Ramsey is like just a fine actress, but I think everybody else is that good around her that it just highlights there's like a golfing class. And I kind of feel sorry for her, because she's getting a bit of a doing online. Not even about like the acting. It's just like, unfortunately the folk are targeting her looks, which is just a bit poor. But the actual acting is it's just not up to the standard. The first season especially, she comes across really petulant in the second season, when there's supposed to be like, is it a 4 or 5 year gap where she's supposed to have matured. So I feel like she's not showing that, whereas the character of Dina is really interesting. So we shall see how that one pans out. I mean, they've announced that the third season is definitely happening, and they're wrapping it up in a fourth season. I wouldn't be surprised if they just do a wee bit longer third season and just wrap it up at that. I would not be surprised if that is the case, because the numbers were plummeting by season end. It was I think it had lost like 30 or 40% of its viewers, which is poor, but hopefully we get like a good ending. Off the kind of back of that, just kind of speaking of like HBO shows, I've like seen the entirety of the Sex and the City movies, and I am on and just like that. And the most recent season, Lorna and I will sit down and we'll watch it. It's been pretty rough. Acting wise, it's been difficult. We tend to sit and look at one another and just think, Did they just say that? It's a bit so. I don't know. It's no car crash TV. It's not that bad, but it's a bit forced, shall we say? So if you liked Sex and the City, the first season was really rough. 2 and 3. Was it 2? Was a lot better, and this one, I think it's the third one. Just because there's that many. Remember when TV shows used to come out like once every year? Like, and you would get like 22 episodes. Now I know that HBO's not like that, and most places aren't, but like 10 episodes are the kind of norm these days, which I like. And 22 episodes has to justify itself. But having 10 episodes and they only come out like every 2 years, it's really tough. I find that very difficult. And you've got to like The Bear, who comes out every year. This is season 4, so it's been like consistent, just knocking it out around the same time every year as well. So look, I feel like an old man shouting at a cloud at this point. I know the amount of time that it goes into making TV and movies and games and music, and I just would like it a wee bit faster. I'm not saying use AI for any of that. I'm just saying if it ran a little bit faster, then I think it would benefit us all. So we've got that. Just kind of like, again, I know we spoke about games a lot last week. I just wanted to highlight one, and I've not seen a lot of discourse online regarding this. It's called The Alters, and it is on Game Pass. So I don't want to put people off, because it's like if I was to describe it to you as a like management game, it's probably the best way to describe it, but it's not really. What 11-bit games have done is they've made a game where you play as a character who's landed on an alien planet, and I say alien in a sense that, you know, there's nothing there and it's not Earth. It's not that it's filled with aliens, but you land on this planet and it's beautiful. The graphics are incredible. It's running on Unreal Engine 5, so it's like cutting edge. You can stop what you're doing and stare at it when you're seeing it. But you land on this planet, and usually their games are more like system based, as in the stories come from the systems they have in place. So they made a game called Frostpunk, which was like a city builder, but it's during the kind of Victorian times. There's like a deviation from our timeline where there's a massive catastrophe, and everybody starts like living in these or around these big like generators that generate heat, and then the world's ended, and it's pretty grim, but you make your own stories in it if you kind of get what I mean, because one minute you'll be doing really well, and then next thing you know the coals ran out, and you're having to like fight off there's I think they're called Londoners, who are people who want to return to London, and you can do it through being like militant, as in being like a basic dictator, or you can do it through religion. And the stories that you make, it's one of those games, it's like one more round, so it's, when you play it, like you say it's like 8 o'clock and you're like, right, and you've got these things to do, but I'm just going to do like one more round, and you end up losing too much time to it. So 11-bit games are 11-bit studios, sorry, are a bit of masters at that. So the Alters, once you land on this planet, you get to your science station kind of base, and it's basically looks like a big Ferris wheel that's like a literal wheel that's on the ground, and the building is inside it, inside the kind of where the spokes would be, if you can imagine it as a bike wheel. So you get in there, and there's like a prologue, so you go out, you do a bit of mining, do that kind of stuff, and I was like, where's this going? Because it's quite plot heavy. I was like, how are they going to handle this? And this game kind of came out of nowhere. Like, I had no expectations of this, so you end up basically realising you can't fix the place, you can't fix the base, because the character you play as, Jan Dolsky, just isn't like a technician, say, right? So on the planet, when you're mining, you're finding metals and minerals and stuff, but you find this thing called rapidium, which is almost like your avatar, like unobtainium. You're like, oh, what's that mean? What are you talking about? So this mineral basically allows people to, it allows you to clone things. So first you turn on this machine called the Woman. It creates it clones a sheep. It's called Dolly. So then you're in contact with the shady mining corporation that provided the funds for this mission, and they're saying, like, there is something we can do. And basically what happens is you have a quantum computer. Now, as soon as I heard that, I was like, I've like watched, when it's like a Saturday night at like 11 o'clock, you end up going down a YouTube rabbit hole, and you end up like reading about quantum mechanics, and you're like, how does this work? And it's like, if you scratch yourself, everything's connected through like a network of quantum like tunneling, and if you scratch yourself, it creates a hurricane somewhere, the same way like a butterfly flaps its wings, all that kind of stuff. And there's a quantum computer, and what it does is it basically like it shows you your entire life, so the character you play as his life, and there's branching points on it. And what happens is, with this mineral, you're able to clone yourself, but what the computer does is it basically pulls your memories. So there's like, you stood up to your dad, or you didn't stand up to your dad. Your character didn't, so he didn't have assertiveness, and he goes his own way. And then you can pull somebody from that did stand up to their dad, who has assertiveness and kind of dominates and domineers, and it just so happens they're a technician. So you clone yourself, but they've all got these memories from basically kind of other, like, sliding doors kind of moment. And but as the game goes on, you end up with more and more characters that are yourself but totally different. And it's very rare that, you know, you're at your work and your mind will wander, and it's that way. I'm like, oh, what would have happened if I'd mind for a little bit longer, and maybe that, you know, made sure that the guys were well fed, because we never had enough raw material to make. It's crazy, and I've never played a game like it. That's not true. I've played games like it, because obviously I'd mentioned Frostpunk earlier, but it's fun, it's touching, it's got like an amazing soundtrack. Every time you create an altar, which is not like, you know, you can't just like pump them out, you know, there's limits to it, and there's gameplay reasons why you can't do it. But when you do it, the music's incredible. The characters are just so well written in it. As I say, to come from a team that make really good mechanically sound games with a really interesting premise, but the story is like what you make up yourself. The same way if you're like playing, let's say, like Football Manager, and you're your own main character. So I started at Darlington, and now I'm, you know, like Boca Juniors, and how did I get here? And you make those decisions in your head and all that. You've taken that boy that you know, that you signed at 18 and he's 36, but you want to keep him, you know, so that kind of stuff. So like you do that yourself, and that's what their games are always like. This is like one of the most well written games. It remembers everything. So I obviously turned the game off, and I was just busy. I was left it a few days, and I felt like there was a few decisions I made that I was like, I actually didn't like that. So I went to an older save, but the game knows that you've loaded in an older save, so it shows you the decisions you made in case you want to change them, which I thought that's pretty cool. You know, like that makes it a bit easier for somebody who's a little bit casual. Like back in the day, I would have classed myself as probably quite hardcore when it comes to gaming. But yeah, no, it's just so good. The altars, it's in Game Pass. Listen, just treat yourself. I think it's not even like a full price game. I think it comes in at like 35 pounds. So considering that games now are like wanting to be like £80, that's a steal. That's a bargain. So but Game Pass, you know, you could chuck down, I think it's £15. You have access to all the games, and the altars is on there, and it is just incredible. I cannot speak highly enough from it about it. It's been out for, I think, just shy of a month, or, you know, maybe 3-4 weeks, or, well, that's a month, but you know what I mean, 2 to 3 weeks. And yeah, it's brilliant. Just treat yourself and get that. The other kind of thing was we'd done obviously the videos back in a couple of weeks ago, or well, a couple of months ago. We'd done the gaming one last week. A couple of months ago, I think it was episode 10. We'd done the Switch announcement, and our Switch 2. I think if you've bought that quite early, fair play. Like, it's your money. It's what you want to do. I think it seems to be that it's sold amazing. So like this is probably a moot point at this point. But while the game or the game console is sold well, the actual games that you can get, it seems to be that it's games that have came out in the past that now just run the way they're supposed to. And I mean fair play for them going and doing that. But you know, if you're buying the Pokemon games, for instance, that I know run terribly, and the Zelda games that start off, you know, running really well, but then you have to remember all the actions that you've made, and then that starts kind of slowing them down when the processing power's getting used. If you're needing to buy a new console for that, you know, listen, I've played games that have been like given a frame rate boost on like the computer or the Xbox or something, but the fact that you're having to put out, you know, a ridiculous amount of money, especially if you've never bought it, I think it's quite poor. I think Nintendo's maybe kind of been maybe a bit greedy, but it's businesses with, you know, we are but the people that pay the money to them. So I will, and it's done really well. So again, this doesn't. I'm just speaking as somebody who's not in that ecosystem, and you know, just looking in. The last one I think I had a 3DS, and I'll be honest, Nintendo consoles just become my Pokemon games, and even then, it's up to a certain point, because I've not played any of the ones since, like, you know, 2015 or something. I think, you know, when you're getting Pokemon that are key rings, it's like, is it really a Pokemon? Come on, no, it's supposed to be like Pocket Monsters and Wii Monsters. Anyway. that's a rabbit hole for something else. But yeah, no, I just wanted to touch base with the alters, and just a wee bit of a switch too there. The other thing was obviously films. So I've yet to see 28 weeks later, 28 years later. I saw 28 weeks later, cracking movie. 28 days later obviously is brilliant as well. Really looking forward to getting a chance to go and see 28 years later. I've unfortunately just not been able to. Greg, I promise you we'll be going soon. F1 I have booked. I felt like, we'd mentioned back in the first episode, Joseph Kosinski, big fan, Top Gun Maverick, Tron Legacy. I'm yet to see Oblivion. I've just not had the chance to get it. Every time I go to watch it, it's not on any streaming sites, and I've not really been to HMV or anywhere to pick up DVDs, Blu-rays, that kind of stuff. So we will get that one watched. But Joseph Kosinski's new F1 movie getting really good reviews, and I thought, do I go for IMAX? And that was the original plan, and then I don't know why I just decided, you know what, we're going to do the 4DX, so that is the plan. So I will tie back in, and we can talk about just how much shaking there is, because I thought the film would have been like 2 hours, and it turns out it's 2.5 hours. So I probably will feel like I've done, like 50 laps of Silverstone by the time it's done. But I'm really looking forward to that one. Those films are just beautifully shot, out with the great action of Top Gun Maverick and Tron Legacy, and I know Oblivion looks amazing. I've just yet to see it, but M83 does the music for it, so I really owe it to myself to go and see it. So F1 it just looks great. I have no interest in Formula 1. If anything, you think, F1's one thing, but there's something about like rally. I think a rally movie with the same kind of gusto as what F1's getting given would be very exciting. Just get that's growing up in the 90s and kind of 2000s with Colin McRae. That'll do that to you, if in doubt, flat out. But I've got F1 booked, and I've also got my tickets for the old Superman movie. It'll really, like, the more I see that, and I'm trying to avoid it, the more I love it. There's clips coming out. The Doug just love crypto, man. That's what it's all about. And I'm not talking about the cryptocurrency, you know what I'm saying? So looking forward to getting in about that when that comes out, which I think, by the time this goes live, we're nearly, or we will be under 2 weeks. We'll be nearly in single figures, which will be pretty exciting. So I imagine it will do really well, so I hope so. And then you've got Fantastic Four at the end of the month. I'm probably going to wait just to see that one, maybe get it on a Monday, a wee Monday showing, like it's Showcase, where it's a wee bit cheaper, just because the trailers aren't really doing much for me. I think it's going to be middle of the road, I'll be honest. And I think setting up, coming with, with the Marvel Avengers movies coming up, I think that's no good. That's no good. That's no good. I know films like the Thunderbolts, which came out, I've yet to see that yet. Just never got around to it. I know it really underperformed at the box office, so I don't know if Marvel are going to scramble and maybe try and rewrite. Which, when the fact you're filming your film at the same time as writing it, it's never a good go. I think going back to when you look at when they made Iron Man, you had a lot of kind of ad-libbing in there. I think they maybe had partial scripts, because I was going to say I thought that was maybe around the time of the strikes, but I think that was 2008, so it probably came out just before the strikes, and the script writers strikes, the film writers guild strikes, I think. So there was a lot of like adding in with like Robert Downey Jr. and Jon Favreau, and I'm trying to even think, Gwyneth Paltrow. I'm sure they just, there was a lot of kind of like zingers, and it was really good. And I think they're still trying to recapture that kind of gold that they got, that magic that they had. My personal favourite movies from the Marvel kind of, I don't even know what do you call it in the Marvel Cinematic Universe still, I suppose, because you've got the TV shows as well, which I think is really damaged it. There's too much homework now to know what happened in the Captain America Strange New World, or what it's called, and it's you need to watch this 10 episode show. And I know people are like, but that's like watching 3 movies. It's different the way you consume it. It's like, you're going to get an answer, whereas sometimes in TV shows there's a lot of yapping. I think films are more guaranteed to not have that. Sometimes you're not, but that's not always the case. But it just feels like less of a kind of time sink. But for me personally, the Guardians movies, and that's why I'm so excited about the the Superman movie, just because James Gunn he seems to understand like what it is. He knows how to write kind of smaller characters like the Guardians, especially the first one is just incredible. Then you've got the Suicide Squad movies, which are the first one anyway, and then Peacemaker off the back of that. Just it takes a really kind of group of unlikable characters, and I thought maybe it's just John Cena just being a cracking actor, but he was really good, and hopefully that's exciting. So I just, as I say, this was basically just to touch base and just kind of fill the kind of void that while we're pulling together these other interviews. I'm over the moon with how the last 4 have turned out. With the pipeline the way it's looking, potentially, like every week we could. I don't know. I'm unsure as to do it every week or every other week. With regards to interview cadence, how often we should be doing them, but it's very exciting. The just what's going forward is I don't know if you can tell I'm smiling just because looking at the diaries it fills up is pretty cool. So 21 episodes in, we're finally getting the traction for, like the interest is there, which is really, that's what it's about. It's really exciting. So what have you been up to? Have you got anything planned? Did you go and see Lana Del Rey at Hampden? Did you get out alright? Did you get a train? What have you been up to? Look, pop it in the comments. Give us a follow. Follow us, like, subscribe. YouTube, Spotify, Apple, which I hope you already are, Connor, if you're listening this far in. And just, if you can give us a follow and a share, that'd be incredible. Always pop comments in. We will always answer. I will. I say will like there's a team. And just stay glorious and have a great weekend. And I'll see you next weekend for another episode of the Whisky Hour. So it's looking good and it's looking fun. I know this has been totally different, but thanks for staying with us. And I know I've said it a lot, but I really appreciate it. Anyway, I've been Thomas Waddle. This has been the Whisky Sour Hour. Cheers.